And welcome, everybody. You caught me in motion right there, but good to see everyone. I will be sending out invites very, very shortly. This is a live stream that is somewhat impromptu. This is my pre-holiday live stream. So over the next, let's say, 48 hours or so, it might be I might be a little bit light on the content coming out on the channel. I will do a couple shorts, I think, tomorrow, and then for my family, we usually celebrate with my wife's family on Christmas Eve. Is much more of an Italian holiday than actual Christmas Day, even though we'll be there as well throughout much of Christmas Day, and then I'm shooting to get home sometime in the early to late afternoon on Christmas Day. So maybe I'll be online again later on. That would be Thursday, later on Thursday afternoon or evening, and then I'll pick up Friday with continuing content on the channel. So anyway. Welcome, everyone. Good to see those that are here. And like I said, I will be putting out that invite in a few minutes. And this is just like I said, a pre-holiday live stream. So I'm not going to be hitting any particular topics, as a focus. So anyway, good to see you, Shadow. And again, you're welcome to join in, and I will get that invite going right now. So there we go. And anyone that wants to come in, if you just want to jump in and share some holiday messages, you're welcome to. Any of my players that are getting ready to start up my Dragon Slayer campaign. If anybody wants to come in and we talk about that, you're certainly welcome to do so. Let me know how your character is coming along, and I'll give you a few little points on where your character is kind of stands at the moment, because this is one of the first times that I have had the player characters start off a new campaign not at first level. So they're starting off at levels 2 through 3, and so there was a little portion of their backstory that I took control of, basically to get them to where their current location is, and then they're free to go. Moving forward from there. So it allowed me the ability to somewhat seed some of the world setting lore into the players, and also kind of sow the seeds for what I'm hoping will become a campaign that focuses more so on domain play. A little bit later on, once they start hitting level 5 initially, then certainly at level 9, once they start hitting those titled levels, and hopefully we can get the campaign to, like I said, really focus on that aspect of gameplay. It's something I dabbled with in the past. It's something that I did set up some seeds in my previous AD&D First Edition campaign. This is for Dragon Slayer RPG from Greg Gillespie. So I think that it will play very, very well. And I might pull some things from Axe, Adventure Conqueror King Second Edition, as well as an enhancement to some of the things that Dragon Slayer might not cover in the same kind of depth that Acts 2 certainly will. So yeah, I'm looking to pull from several different sources for this campaign, and this campaign is intended to be a long-running campaign. It is with my go-to Tuesday night group, so I'm excited about that as well. And I think that this is the right system for this group that it will lend to that long campaign that I'm hoping for. So anyway, again, the invite is up there. So anybody wishing to join in, you're certainly welcome to join in. I did notice quite a lot of other people have been doing live streams at this moment as well. So the numbers might be smaller, at least initially. I think some of those might start to wane out a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. So anyway, I got a package today that I was really looking forward to, and I had a little bit of confusion, as well. So to James Raggy, disregard the email I sent you, that one where I was kind of confused because I had taken advantage of James's call for review, to review some of his works, and as always, I've always said that when I review something, I'm purchasing it. So I'm not taking a free copy to review. I'm purchasing it. So what he had said was that he would give some free items in there, and then give me a review item or so. But I had a pending order, and so he said, once you finish off that pending order, I'll send this stuff out to you. And I received the review copies plus the bonus items, and I'm going to go through that. So I received these 5 items in the mail today, and I'm going to talk about these. And these were the review copies. I was like, wait a second, these aren't the same books that were ordered in the 2 bundles that I ordered them in. And then when I'm looking through some of my other emails that somehow I missed yesterday, I guess it was the 22nd. Yeah, yesterday I got some emails telling me that the order dates are now set, because those 2 boxes full of books weren't shipped until yesterday. So I will be getting them by the 30th, which so happens to be the anniversary of this channel as well, which is why you saw that logo up there in the center of the thumbnail with the 9-year anniversary logo on it. So the 30th is actually the anniversary date of this channel, and I will be doing a live stream then as well to talk about that. So anyway, let's go over some of the stuff that James Raggy had sent me in the mail. And so anytime that you buy 35 euro or more, you're going to get these 2 books here. And the first one is untitled. All right. Although I would say that this is probably called, I would call this The Wager, because that's the first title that is in the book. Now, I haven't even read this yet. I literally just opened up the box 20 or 30 minutes ago. And I was like, all right, let me go set up my live stream and everything. That's why you got very, very little notice of this as well. So yeah, here's the first one in the grouping of 5 books that he had sent me. And again, this is one of the 2 that you are going to receive for free. These are freebies that come with all orders of 30 euro or more. 35 euro or more. Now, obviously, I bought these on the U.S. sales site, but they shipped from Finland anyway, and not too bad. I mean, they shipped on the 17th, and they're arriving on the 23rd. So that was pretty fast shipping, I must say. And now the other ones are shipping on the 22nd. They shipped yesterday on the 22nd, and they're arriving by the 30th. So 7 or 8 days shipping is not too bad. Now, this particular one here, doesn't seem to have a name on it as well. So this is the other that comes in here, and no name on this one. And this one here has it's an adventure, right? So there's a magma chamber here, and then it says you all meet in a tavern, the eruption, the volcanic plain, the widow, the dragon, the wizard, the monk, the magma chamber, two stairs, playful children, random events and encounters, quite a few of those. The crucified man, molten gold, steam vents. Yeah, so it's a scenario. Quite a number of not too bad. I mean, it's coming up to 22, 23. Basically 26 pages, 26-page adventure. So that's pretty good. No, these are not Dragon Slayer books. These are for Lamentations of the Flame Princess. So these are unrelated to that. I was looking around. These are kind of like early Christmas presents for myself as well, although some are coming on the 30th. So these are Dragon Slayer only has one book. So only one book for Dragon Slayer at the moment. So one of the freebies that he sent me, or one of the review books that he sent me, was Death Frost Doom. And I've had Lamentations of the Flame Princess for a very long time, quite a number of years now. And I just never got an opportunity to run it or play it. So here might be the encouragement for me to do so, maybe run a one-shot or something along the line. So this here is an adventure book as well. And let's see. So this is written by James Edward Raggy, illustrations, cartography, and design by Gez Gordon. Cover for the fourth printing by Yannick Bouchard, and the Dead Sign by Laura Jallo, and this was 2019. So says here, second edition, fifth printing, 3,000 copies. So 2019. So like I said, I'm doing a little bit of catch up here. So I will read this and I will give this a review. Now, when I review adventures, I don't include a lot of spoilers. So be on the lookout that when I do cover these things, I'm just going to talk about, the tone and the pacing and the enjoyability of reading them for both the game master and and I will try to assess how the players might engage with it as well. Hey, how's it going, Mike? Good to see you. And again, anyone is welcome to join in on this live stream. It's just a pre-holidays live stream. I'm just talking about some things that I got from James Raggy, who sent them to me for review copies, along with my actual purchased orders that will be coming a little bit later on. And you're familiar with it, right? So Death Frost Doom is awesome. Same with God That Crawls and the Tower of the Stargazer. So while I have this one, and then I have the music of Erica Zahn. So here's another one, hardcover. These are all hardcovers, by the way, which is pretty cool. The first one was the untitled one was a soft cover, the only soft cover in this here. And so this opens up right away with a mass hysteria. All right. And so there's a D20 roll for mass hysteria. I mean, first, inside cover, that's what you start off with. So that's pretty cool. This one here, let's see. So 2025. So this is this past year. So I'm looking forward to reviewing some of his more recent content as well. So we have the introduction, the Bard, powers of the Bard, banishment, summonment, enchantment. This is the Bard class for Lamentations of the. Oh, so this is a source book for just for the Bard class. Pretty cool. So let's see. The music of Erica Zahn presents an alternate version of the Bard class for traditional tabletop role-playing games, including Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It presents the Bard as a figure of chaos in the vein of the music of Eric Zahn, and rejects the concept of the Bard as a charismatic minstrel. So pretty cool stuff. So I'm really excited about that. And I will, because I'm not a big fan of bards as a playable class. So I will certainly do a deep dive on this one. This is going to be something. Maybe you'll see this on the weekend or possibly Friday if I have enough time to read it over that course of that time. Yes, James Raggi is a really, really interesting person, and I'm looking forward to spending time with us here. And I have invited him to come onto the channel and talk about just his his I would say vast gaming knowledge, and see what it would be like. I've never had the opportunity to interview him before, so it'll be a really a pleasure for me, and hopefully he enjoys it as well. And so the last book here, so this one is called, this is The Altar of Madness. So The Altar of Madness, I haven't even opened this up yet. So I will do that. I will do that right here for you. Let me just grab, I used to have my pocket knife, and I haven't seen my pocket knife in a while. But let's see how we can do this. When I say safely, I mean safely for the book, not for myself so much. Yeah, I'm a bit of a bibliophile. I like to keep my books in really, really good shape, which is why some of my oldest books are, 40 years old, and they're still in great condition. So here we go, and let's see what this is here. So we open it up, and it's clearly an adventure. So it opens up with a tomb, and we'll see. There's the Altar of Madness, and then this is strictly an adventure module, and the text was 2025. So here's another very recent publication for them, and definitely going to check that out. Like I said, I'm going to follow the same. Policy when I cover adventure modules. I will try to be as spoiler free as possible. So let's see. I would totally jump in if it wasn't working. I get that, Mike. So let's see. Hit up Lord Mateus. Maybe he can come on the show. He's a Lamentations fanatic. Yeah, and the invitation is always out there for anyone. If you have a direct line to Lord Mateus, I know he follows my channel, and we have crossed paths a number of times in a number of different ways, whether it be on Discord or in Facebook, X, and on other people's channels as well. So definitely love to have him on the channel, and maybe he'll join when if and when James Raggi comes on the channel. That would be awesome. If you want to jump in now, you're certainly welcome to. Let's see what I have in my Discord, the live stream at 8. That was my announcement. Let's see who might pop in. So my gaming group, like I was saying, my gaming group is I am focusing in 2026 on a few game systems. So I am running Hyperborea on Thursday evenings, a Hyperborea third edition on Thursday evenings, and I do have room for players in there. So if you are free on Thursday evenings at 8 p.m., that's the time slot for it. I am running. I will be running Dragon Slayer on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. 8:30 ish. It depends on what time I get home from work. It's usually 8:30, and I usually run that till about 11 o'clock. So I like to keep my sessions, especially my nighttime sessions, fairly short, 2.5, 3 hours maximum. And that's what I've been basically doing for the most part. Now, my Thursday morning, which runs from 9 to 11, again, another short session. That's Gangbusters BX, and really, really enjoying that. And I have room for players in there too. So if you are a person who works the night shift, then you're available 9 a.m. Eastern time to about 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So like I said, those run about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Now, I only have 2 players in that, and 2 hours is actually quite a bit of time for just 2 players. So if we got to 3 or 4 players, I think you'd still get a lot more done in that kind of a time frame. Did I hear a little click? No. But yeah, so don't let these short time frames make you think that, oh, how much can you actually get done in just a 2-hour game session? If you have a small group of players, you'd be surprised at how much you actually do get done, how much more gaming happens, because you're only dealing with, 2 other players or possibly 3 players, and it just gets less muddled, and you can get a lot more accomplished in the same amount of time that it would take much larger group of players would struggle, I think, with just a 2-hour game session. You got a storm coming. Yeah, I know how that works out too. So that's an issue as far as that's concerned. Yeah, yeah, bad weather. Sometimes will knock out your internet and do all kinds of stuff that just gets it very very tough to do that. So let's see, what else do we have coming along? So like I said, Dragon Slayer, Hyperborea third edition, and Gangbusters are the 3 that I am running. I am also anticipating, really looking forward to it, and I hope it happens, a Saturday night game that is going to be OSE, so Old School Essentials Advanced, set in the Middle Earth setting, a different DM. I am not running it. I am playing, and I'm going to be playing a halfling or hobbit reeve. A reeve is kind of like a ranger, like a ranger druid kind of character. It's considered a martial class, and it's from the expansion zines that are out there for OSC. And so it's not the first time that I'm playing OSC. I've played it very briefly in the past, but it's the first time that I'm really looking forward to it being a campaign and not just a series of very short either one shots or just a couple of sessions, and then that's all that it was really designed to be. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. So basically, my weekly schedule is expanding to potentially 4 games a week. But like I said, some of them are very short sessions anyway. But 4 gaming sessions a week is quite a lot, And running 3 and playing in 1, I think will be interesting. Might be a challenge, and I'll see what goes on with that. Um, but my Tuesday nights are locked in, all right, and my Thursday morning is definitely locked in. I'm hoping to get the Saturday locked in, and then we'll see what happens with my Hyperborea Thursday nights, because right now I need at least another player in that, if not 2 more players in that, to bring it up to 4 player characters in the group, 4 players in the group, because Hyperborea is not the game system for just 2 characters. It is a little bit more challenging than that, and I don't want to bog my players down with having them control 2 different player characters, simultaneously, and I don't want to deal with NPCs. Running NPCs, because I think that's a bad practice for a game master to get into, is to consistently running an NPC along with the rest of the small party of players, because it makes that character stand out too much. And so that's something that I really do try to avoid. Like, I will control a player who is absent. I'll control their characters, especially if there's no real way to explain why that character isn't in the same situation that the rest of the party is. I've never had one of those characters die, but I've also never shied away from that happening if the player is away. That's just kind of, like I said, it's never happened before. It's come close. It's like, or when a player has left and I use their character as an NPC. I finally did have one of those characters die off in it, but that campaign kind of petered out anyway. And actually, that campaign is shifting from Castles and Crusades to Dragon Slayer. So I think that the game system is going to carry a long campaign much better than what I did with Castles and Crusades. So looking forward to it. Dragon Slayer is an awesome game system. I think that it has something about it that just has a feel of it. It's a definite game system that has a soul to it. I'm not saying Castles and Crusades is a soulless system, but it doesn't have the same feel that Dragon Slayer does, and I think that's gonna be more reminiscent of AD&D First Edition for me, and possibly for my players as well, than Castles and Crusades was. So anyway, let's see, and again, if anyone wants to jump in, you're welcome to do so. This is just a quick live stream talking about it's pre-holidays. So I am going to be away. And there's Lord, as someone said, lamentation times it. So I appear. Yes. So I will, since you're here now, Lord Mateus, I will show you. So James Raggy sent me a couple of books in the mail for review. And then I have 2 more loads of books coming by the 30th. So here's some of the books that he sent me. So this one here is The Altar of Madness. This one here, that's the back sleeve, so I'm not damaging it already. But The Altar of Madness. He sent me the Music of Ericazon, which is a Bard source book. He sent me Death Frost Doom, all right, which is an adventure module. This one This one was written, was this the 2019 one? Yes, this is the 2019 one. The other two were 2025, so more recent stuff. And then if you make a purchase on his website of anything more than 35 €35, you will get these two freebies. And this particular one I call The Wager, because that's the only title that is in here. And then this one here is also untitled, and there is, I guess, this one here you can call, it's all based on like a volcano, so this one here I'll just call Magma. All right, for any other better description of it. So all great books. Death, Frost, Doom is an instant classic you'll really need to incorporate that into your campaign. Yeah. So and I'll see how, where else I can take some of these themes and build them into my other games that I'm doing as well. As someone, of course, that was me. I'm glad that you reached out to him, and and Mateus, if you want to jump in, Lord Mateus, if you want to jump in, you can jump in the chat as well and talk about it. But I have invited James Raggy to come on the channel, and that would be awesome if he could, and you'd be welcome to join as well. That'll be sometime in the new year, obviously. Hit that restream link, Mateus. Yeah, you could hit the restream as well if you're going to jump in. For certain, you're welcome to do so. I'm trying to survival working. All right. Hey, what's up, RPG Grandma? And you are welcome to join in as well. I've been following your coverage of Star Frontiers. RPG Grandma, if you ever run Star Frontiers for an online game, I would love to play in your game. I mean, that is something that way, even if it's just like a couple one shots, together, or a series of like a short campaign or something like that. I would absolutely love to play in that. But I'm really, a big fan of Star Frontiers. I've always loved that game system. Certainly the lore of that game system was phenomenal. That's its true strength. And then, the game system itself, I'm not a huge fan of the D100 system, the way that they utilize it there. But I think it improved a lot with the with Zebulon's Guide. I think that having that introduction of the different levels of success really did improve that. And they took that from, I believe, TSR's Conan introduced that. And that's the same system that's used in the TSR's Marvel as well. That should have been in the original Alpha Dawn, but it certainly was brought in with Zebulon's Guide, which is a great book as well. So Mateus is the Lamentations master. All right. Well, I certainly defer to anyone when it comes to game systems that I have not run yet. And so that's something that I would love to, eventually get around to doing is running Lamentations, as I've had it for years. I just never had an opportunity to run it or whatnot. And here we go. So let's try to get this. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, so I'm like really excited. I'm getting all of these things in the mail. I'm like, although I was a little bit confused. I was like, I got this box today, and I was like, originally the order was put in. I put in the order on the 17th, and he said, I'm going to send you some stuff to review as well. So I was expecting like the two big packs that I sent to. It was like probably about 8 books or 10 books,
Yeah.
And I thought it was all going to come in one big box. And then I figured he'd throw a couple books just for me to review in there as well. So originally it was supposed to come tomorrow, Christmas Eve, and I was like, "Damn, I'm not going to be home. I don't want this box to come and sit in
Right.
my freaking porch for. Not that I have to worry about porch pirates or anything like that. I was more concerned like if it rains. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
so that was the biggest concern. And then they sent me a thing and said, "Oh well, it's going to come on the 29th." So I was like, "Awesome." Now it's coming, the 29th. And then I got one that says, no, it's coming on the 23rd. And I was like, okay.
Right.
So, you know, then I'm waiting, I'm tracking it and everything. And then it arrives, and I'm like, none of these five books are the same books that I ordered. And I'm looking at, I'm like, wait a second, I don't get this. So then I look at my email from yesterday, which I hadn't checked today, and I looked at the email and I was like, so now those other books are coming on in two separate orders. So I don't know how that happened, but they're coming in two separate orders on the 30th, which is awesome because I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm totally safe. I'll be home. That's the anniversary date of my channel on top of that. So it's like
Oh,
I'm
wow.
getting these two huge things, from him. So yeah, like a total of like 12 or 15, 12 to 15 books that I'm getting
Oh,
for
that's fantastic.
Lamentations. I was like, damn, I just went all out and got it. But anyway,
Well, thanks for letting me jump on. I'm a huge fan. I've been
yeah.
listening to you for a while. That shelf right here, that's like all Lamentations, all Lamentations. I've been a huge fan of Raji's for a while. The
Yeah.
two books that you were showing, the one with the volcano and then the weird
Yeah.
one, those are free books that you
Yes.
get if you order something. And he actually said that he's not going to sell them individually.
Right.
And he said, if you already have everything, use Lamentations as like a gift. And that's how you'll get the
Yeah.
books. And I'm thinking to myself, Lamentations is just so weird
Mm.
and so strange. I don't know anybody in my gaming circles that would like want
Yeah.
Lamentations necessarily. I've been like sneaking in a lot of Lamentation stuff in my campaigns, but I did reach out to him, and this might explain why you have so many books. I did reach out to him and told him, like, hey, I'd like to do some reviews for you. I already have
Yeah.
thing. What would you like me to review?
Yeah.
He says, oh, I'll send you the two free adventures and whatever else you feel like reviewing, go for it. And I was like, sweet. Now I got the free adventures.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten in the mail yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. That's what he sent me because I did the same thing. I was like, hey, I would love to not only review your stuff, all right, but I'd also like to interview you after the holidays if you want to come in, if you have anything that you're working on, for early on 2026 that you want to, boost or whatever. And like I said earlier, I don't review things that I don't pay for. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So it's like if you were going to send me some free stuff, I was like, and I said this to him too. I was like, well, I have some things sitting in my, in my basket ready to purchase. He says, well, send that through and I'll send you the free stuff, with that.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought they were all coming in one box. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get all of this stuff in one box. But the free stuff came first, so I was like, all right, that's cool. But yeah, I like to support the creators that I'm confident I'm going to really enjoy their stuff, and that's how I review things. It's like, there's very few books that I've, thankfully, luckily, there's very few things that I've gotten. I was like, oh, this is utter trash.
Right.
Probably like two things, and I've always purchased them too. So it's like, oh, I have like two books that I've regretted purchasing because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just literal trash.
I have a handful of those as well. My
Yeah,
my
you know,
uh, my co-host Gary and I, we decided that because we want to be the fun guys. We want people
right,
to enjoy the hobby. We want to have fun with everybody who like watches the live stream. That if we don't talk about your game, it probably means we're not a big fan of it. But we're not
right,
going to openly trash someone because
right, right,
it's
right.
it's one of those things. But I have been, even the books from Raji's line that I have been about, like, well, this is not the best. I
Right.
still enjoyed reading. There's
Yeah.
one book in particular. I think it's called Big Puppet. Really bizarre premise, like really strange. I
Yeah.
don't know how I would incorporate it in like a game, but it was fun to read. You know what I
Right.
mean? One of these days I'll figure it out, I guess. You know what I mean? But everything that, like, I'm currently running in my in-person gaming group, um Rob Alderman's Gods of the Forbidden North,
Oh
and
yes.
brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But because it's a hex crawl, like, I can add stuff, and I've added
Right.
a bunch of Lamentations things just to kind of
Right.
change things up. And the way Rob has written some of like the darker stuff, it actually kind of fits. My players haven't figured it out yet, but it does kind of fit. And Death Frost Doom is, I'm looking for a hex to place Death Frost Doom because that will be a game changer. It's a great module. But there's a handful of others that I've seeded, and eventually they will
Mhm.
stumble upon. So, but I think with like Lamentations, like, when you run, if you're going to run Lamentations, you have to either go all in and just say, okay, we're doing weird, dark fantasy,
Right.
you know, or it's like the occasional thing you drop in your standard game just to kind of change things up, maybe around Halloween time.
Right.
You
Right.
know
Right.
what I mean?
It's
So,
it's it's kind of like the way that the first Ravenloft module was for us. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
It was like, hey, you're going to do this. It wasn't a whole like setting. It was just a region of Greyhawk that our adventurers traveled to, and it was like, hey, here you go. It was a one shot kind of thing, that we ran through for a couple of weeks. It took us to probably only about, so we used to play 5 to 6 times a week.
oh,
This is
jeez,
this
yeah,
was the teenager.
yeah,
This was
right
our
on,
teen years. It was like,
yeah,
yeah, we didn't do homework. We played D&D every fucking day. It was like, we had three hours a day, and then Saturdays was like marathon games. And 8 hours. To the point that my friend Adam's mother used to be like, "You guys got to go home." It's like you've been here all day. But yeah, so but yeah, Ravenloft lasted us quite a bit, and we survived it, which was like one of the few modules that were like out of the straight out of the packaging. That's how my DM ran it. I think most of us lost 2 levels at least
oh,
during it
sure,
too.
yeah,
That was for certain. It's like, yeah, we did not come out of that unscathed, but we did beat it.
yeah,
Basically we ended Strahd, you know, and we got out of that one. But yeah, those are like one shot kind of things that my DM just kind of laced into Greyhawk the way that they were really kind of designed to be. So I would do the same thing with like Lamentations thing, is just seed it in there every once in a while. Like we're kind of going to run the Barrow Maze, with Dragon Slayer, but I doubt I'm going to do the Mega Dungeon. I'm probably going to just piece out some of those ideas
right,
into separate barrows that they go into, and yeah, but I would not have it where it's like they're going into a 13 level dungeon kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, no, no, no. It's I will fragment them out a little
yeah,
bit. That way I can seed other things in. Like Lamentations will certainly fit in that kind of a setting. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but
Um,
anyway, let's see some of the other comments. I see RPG Grandma is talking about, you know, if you're not like set up for streaming games and everything, I can help you with that too. I mean, I'm no computer whiz at all, and I meant like Roll20 is easy to use, and use Discord for your audio, because it tends to be, although Roll20 I think is done some new stuff with their video I've seen. So that might actually be more stable than it used to be. But anyway, Roll20 is the easiest one if you're just using whiteboard and and you're just placing your own maps in there and stuff. And you don't mess around with their dynamic lighting. That's such a freaking like
all
just
the all the
too much,
bells and
too buggy.
all the bells and whistles that you get with some of these
Mm.
virtual tabletops. Like, I get why, because it's
Yeah,
like it sounds cool in
yeah.
theory, but it's been in my experience invariably something doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Hmm.
And rather than play the game, you and your players end up having a 20 to 30-minute conversation about the program, the platform, how to fix it, and it totally kills immersion, kills the mood. I'm
Yeah,
to the point where I just do theater of the mind. I have my
yeah,
Discord set up and I have the camera set up, and maybe I'll share a screen so I can show you like a map or like some uh
yeah, yeah.
or
That's
like
how I do it. I mean,
word, like
I'll throw
paint.
a map on there and
Yeah.
I'll just do like the fog of war kind of thing where I just open it up. That's the one thing that Roll20, if Roll20 is listening, which I doubt it, but uh, you need to have a preset hex that will reveal a hex. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just doing squares for everything, just do a hex so I can just stamp down this is the size of the hex, and now I can reveal one hex at a time, which will make hex scrolling
Yeah.
amazing. And that's something they definitely need to do on that.
Yeah. I think with gaming online, the kiss, keep it simple, stupid. You know what I mean? Just don't go crazy with all the it just because your group is going to have fun.
Yeah.
The fewer tech issues you deal with. So,
Here's a question for you, Matt. So, what do you think set Lamentations apart from other BX games?
um, well, with a few exceptions, generally speaking, the game presupposes a normal world. So you really don't have bestiaries. We just had a live stream last Friday where we talked about our favorite bestiaries, and James Radji published something years ago, which was essentially a random monster generator.
Hmm.
But like his philosophy is the monster should be really weird and
Right.
un something you're just not accustomed to, right?
Right.
So it's scary, and the players don't know what they're dealing with, and which adds to the tension and stuff and things like that. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
I think the second thing is that Raji doesn't shy away from how powerful and dangerous magic is. And it's really subtle, but once you start diving into how magic really works beyond what's in the main rule book, and you'll see this in the Music of Eric Azan,
Mm.
a magic user can actually screw up the game master's world in ways that I don't think prior iterations of Dungeons and Dragons ever thought possible.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, if game master is God, right, and the
Mhm.
rules of the game are your physics, magic is breaking reality. Okay, we see that in D&D, right? I'm going
Right.
to cast a fireball, right?
Yeah.
Fireball, right? Ratchet takes it to the next step where the magic user can actually challenge indirectly the game master, like
Right.
through the summon spell is a great example. If he loses control of the summoning, something really terrible could happen and
Right.
basically destroy the campaign. When you look at the magic of Eric Azan, the crazy Lamentations Bard can do a lot
Mm.
of stuff like that. There's a lot in some of the modules that are world shattering and game breaking, and it's all rooted in magic and magic's ability to alter reality, and in the
Right.
hands of a novice or an
Mm.
insane person can destroy a campaign. And I find that awesome but also terrifying as a
Right.
game master. Like, so when I see someone like, oh, I'm going to play a magic user, I'm like, oh boy. Here we go. I got to keep an eye on you because who knows
Yeah.
what you're going to do, you know? So
Right.
and I think that's cool. It just makes it fun for everybody who's like, into it, who's into
Right.
like almost Cthulhu-esque someone's going to lose their crap, and next thing you know, this campaign's going to go sideways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that.
But yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it as far as it breaks from that. It breaks from the norm, right?
Yeah,
It's something that's like and just like anything else. I mean, you're going to set up your players, understanding that before you even begin, and say, hey, you know what? Um, we could have some random events that we're just not anticipating, myself included, and it could make this a very entertaining and short campaign.
yeah,
And I think that's something that is. I mean, some games have tried to kind of duplicate that, but I don't think to that kind of level. Like DCC Magic is very wild,
yeah,
and it can turn on you like crazy. Um, Weird Frontiers, which is a DCC derivative anyway, that very much so as well, because then you have the card deck that comes into that as well. So every time you shoot, there's something bizarre can happen every time you shoot a firearm, and it's like it's a Western, so you're really meant to be shooting firearms a lot,
right, right.
and so there you are busting out the deck of cards to see, what is coming up, and it's like almost like every time you shoot, it's a random occurrence. So yeah, so some have dabbled with it, but very few I don't think I've ever heard of where it's like, all right, this is a campaign shattering kind of thing. So yeah, I'll certainly be looking into that and seeing what aspect of that you know might be a great way of just setting them up for, this could last 6 months, this could last 6 sessions, and we'll see what happens with it. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, I've
Yeah,
always enjoyed it.
yeah.
I ran a campaign using Temple of Elemental Evil.
Hmm.
Ran the campaign for 3 years,
Yeah,
on my channel as, like, an actual play, and, rather than set it in Greyhawk, I kinda set it in a default, like, dark fantasy setting,
right.
and I really leaned into the alignment structure that
Mm.
Lamentations sort of enforces. Oh, and that's another thing too. In Lamentations, if you're a magic user or an elf, you have to be chaotic alignment. You can't be
Right.
lawful, you can't be neutral, and clerics have to be lawful. So there's automatically this like diametrically
Yeah.
opposed
Opposed. Yeah.
idea. I really love that. So the village of Hamlet got quite the makeover, right?
Yeah.
Because like and it was pretty cool. But it got
Mhm.
dark at one point when the church pretty much took over and started hanging magic users and
Yeah.
crucifying them, you know. But I put the temple on like a hex map, and I put a couple Lamentations modules on the hex map and whatnot. They just kind of let the game go as it went, and it was interesting. It was definitely lethal, more lethal. They did not have the standard magical abilities that you would see in typical D&D because magic
Right.
was so dangerous. So that made the encounters in the temple so much harder when they actually started going into the mega dungeon, right?
Right.
And then they got in their head, they decided, I gave them this option. They decided to actually have an army lay siege to the temple, and then they started like bringing in like 30 guys at a time. So rather than magic, they were using just numbers of men and bodies to just like
Right.
pick out. It was a really interesting game. Like I never ran anything quite like it in my life, and it was a lot of fun. But oh yeah, Mike knows. Mike knows.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Lamentations. I'm curious. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on like Death Frost Doom, especially,
Yeah.
because that one, like, if you, I'll just say this: it's not just a dungeon crawl. Like, what happens at the end can really change the way your campaign
Goes
goes.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
I like that. It's one of
Yeah.
those things where it's like this is not a one and done. I didn't pay like $20-$30 for a book that I'm going to use once. It's gonna,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. You can pull from it and utilize it in other ways, and set it in different places and everything. Well, that's the same with like any module. I don't know of any module in my experience that I've run straight It's like just never run them straight. It's like, whether it's a classic or not, doesn't really matter to me. It's like, how is it going to fit within,
Right.
my campaign, and yeah, I just don't believe I steal maps more though than I steal anything, because I'm a horrible map maker anyway. So it's like, all right, I love these maps. Like I'll steal that 3D map from the first Dragons of Deceit, so Dragonlance, but everything else about the Dragonlance series, it couldn't run it. It was like, you can't run that series unless you're using the pre-gen characters for it. You have to use
Yeah.
them, and then you're
Yeah.
kind of pigeonholed. It's like, well, I can't kill off Tannis. You can't let
Right.
Tannis die in this thing. The whole thing falls apart if you
Yeah.
don't. So, when I did get those modules, I was like, well, they're running their own characters in there, and I kind of took them out of Kryn, for the most part, and just set them as scenarios and encounters and whatnot throughout Greyhawk, when I was doing it. So so yeah, there's I don't know anybody that takes a module and just runs it straight.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Do you, when you are looking at game material, and it's separate from like the actual like rule book, like Dragon
mhm.
Slate, like I'm not talking about stuff like that, but like game material, whether it's an adventure supplement, what have you, a zine, are you looking for something that's going to have a lasting impact on how you um run your games moving forward, like something that gives you like a new idea, like whether it's game mechanics or setting material, like or are you looking, like you just sort of said, like you just like cool maps or something? Is there something specific you look for?
Like when I look at systems, I do that more so with systems. Like if I see something in a system that I really like, it's like I will incorporate that into other game systems. So I mean, I love having the torch mechanic from Shadow Dark. And yet I took the Conan 2D20, momentum system, and put that into Shadow Dark, because I thought, Shadow Dark could use a little bit more dynamic cinematic that you get from Conan 2D20.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
That doesn't, so yeah, I look for subsystems within game systems that will
Love
port
it. Yep.
over into other things more so than more so than just taking an adventure module and taking little pieces out of it. I mean, I take stuff from all over the place. Like I just finished watching for the first time. Like I binge watched Wednesday. All right, and I threw the hide at my players in the Castles and Crusades, and they were like, when I put that image up there, the avatar up there for them, the token, and they saw it, they were like, that's a hide from Wednesday, and I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, and then I mean, it was fucking brutal. I mean, it was destroying their party like crazy. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I made this thing pretty darn. I made it like like one of the mythological beasts from from Castles and Crusades mythos books. I was like, oh, this thing is dealing out, with a single claw attack is going to do, 3d8 damage. I was like, damn, this thing is really, trouncing on them. So I was like, yeah, fine. That one thing, if they, as long as they coordinated their attacks and everything, they might get through it. And that first one that sent them fleeing, right?
Yeah.
They lost. Did I lose three? They might have lost three party members, to that thing. Then the second time they encountered them, they were back to full strength again. Some different players in it, and the second time they steamrolled it. They were like, "Oh, we know how to deal with this thing." It was like, just nobody run, nobody do, just focus fire on this thing and just hit it with everything you freaking got. Ignore everything else but this thing, because this thing can really get rid of us in a blink of an eye. So it was a really good seed from other sources
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
just worked really well. So that's what I do. Long answer to a very short question. What do I pull from other things? I pull from all kinds of resources. Um, I just finished watching again Solomon Kane. I was like,
Oh
oh, it's
yeah.
on Netflix. So on that Netflix, it was on Amazon Prime. So I was like, oh, I haven't watched that in a while. I'm watching that. I was like, wow, I could pull stuff out of here. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
um, talk about wild magic. I mean, everything that they were doing in that. Even though you didn't see it actually happening, but it's like, you know, want to cast a spell, you got to, sell your soul in order to cast a particular spell and everything. That would be an interesting thing to throw in there. It's like, oh, you want to resurrect somebody, you have to give up levels. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like an energy drain.
Yeah.
That would be an awesome way of, making it where, yeah, I'm going to limit it, but I'm not going to limit it by saying you don't have access to resurrection. But if you're going to resurrect somebody, you're
You got
12th level or whatever you have to be,
got to sacrifice.
14th level. Yeah, it's going to cost you a number of levels to guess that. You'll be like, oh hell no, I'm not doing that shit, unless
Yeah.
they
Yeah. Yeah.
really, really dedicated to bringing that player character back.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I'll get inspired by a variety of things. Just recently it was last night actually. I decided to rewatch Mary Shelley. It's from like the
Mhm.
90s, late 90s. It's about Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but it
Right.
was from the perspective of one of the women working at the dude's house there, and it was Julia Roberts and
Mhm.
John Malkovich, because I want to do some gothic horror stuff for Shadow Dark
Mhm.
in a subsequent thing I'm working on, and just trying to get some ideas. You know what I mean? And I just pulling from just that and like the transformation and all that. I think that would be cool for like a character class, like a mad scientist type character class. I'm back in the '90s. I ran this like 10-year long campaign in Forgotten Realms, second edition D&D. But it all started with two things. I picked up the first edition Forgotten Realms box set, which is just a beautiful box set. And I read in like there's this timeline section, and it said on such and such date, the Ring of Winter is found, and that's all
Mhm.
it said. And I was like, there's no other discussion of the Ring of Winter in the book. And I'm like, well, what is that?
Mhm.
What is the Ring of Winter? And so I started just kind of riffing off of that and building and building and building like an adventure, this whole like campaign structure. And then I was listening to this like punk rock band called The Refused, and they had like this like instrumental, like it was like a violin with like this like really slow hardcore guitar piece, and like all of a sudden I'm like, this is the excellent background music for my villain. And
Mhm.
then I created the villain from that. You know what I mean? I ended up getting 10 years out of a sentence and the intro to a music to a punk rock song. So yeah, yeah. You get inspiration from the craziest places, I guess. You know.
Right.
So, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's why I'm a big proponent of, don't get bogged down in just one game system and running just one game system.
agree.
So my niece, which I finally got to visit her, she finally came up from Atlanta this week. She was up for the holidays, so I gave her my Shadow Dark collector's edition, right? That I had Kelsey signed it
Nice.
to her. So I was like, all right, cool. I handed that to her because is all she had was 5e. And actually, it was the 5e that I gave her because I gave her all of my 5e stuff when I purged my collection of
Sure. Yeah.
5e, and I gave it to her. So she was like, she was in college at the time, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm the only person in all of these different groups that actually has physical books of fifth edition. They're
Wow,
all running
interesting.
around in her college. They were all running around, and it was an arts college. It was she does she's an assistant production manager for a anime company
Mhm.
out in Atlanta. So anyway, she was like, "Oh yeah, there's like 20 or 30 kids, at her college that were running various groupings of 5e, and not one of them had physical books." I was like, one might have had them at one point, and they just photocopied them and then just shared them out there
Wow,
and just shared
interesting.
the pieces of it out there and everything. And I was like, all right, that's so she was like, oh, she was so happy. And I was like, listen, these are the first printings. So they have Zach Smith and they have the
Yep,
RPG Pundit in it. So
yep.
don't get rid of them. I
That's what
said,
I have too.
yeah,
Yep.
if you want to get rid of them, give them back to me. I says you're welcome to have them for a lifetime, but give them back to me if you're going to get rid of them. So when I gave her this one, I was like, listen, this is the collector's edition. Can't get them again. The the greenback one,
Yeah.
and plus she signed it anyway. So I was like, it's yours. Enjoy it. Convert your players over from 5e to Shadow Dark, and then when I get the new box of because one of the things I bought for Lamentations was the starter bundle,
Oh, okay.
which
Yeah.
has another hardcover Lamentations that's coming to the core. So I'm going to give her my current one. I'll be like, here, you can have that. So I'm going to send her home with Lamentations on top of that. So it's like, yeah, throw that one at your player group there. And see how they like that kind of tone difference. Because I think that's like what you were saying, like what's the biggest difference? And a lot of times these OSRs, the big difference between them is tonal.
I agree
It's
with that.
what tone do they bring? Because if you look at it and say, oh well, 90% of this is BX. Well, yes, of course, 90% of it's going to be BX. That other 10% might be rules differences, but every single one of them is going to have a different tone to it,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, more important in many ways than whatever little unique things you throw in there.
Yeah, I
You know
think
what
I
I'm
think
saying?
I think a lot of would-be game designers, and this is something I noticed right off the bat when I started kind of writing myself. Like, you're gonna anybody can house rule this, and especially in the OSR. And I think
Mm.
it should be encouraged by all means.
Yeah.
Tailor the game to your table, by all means do that.
Mm.
But your house rules don't need to have their own book. You can throw that on a blog or
Mhm.
whatever, right? But if you're going to, yeah, RPG Grandma is 100% correct, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to actually publish something, those whatever those house rules are better be aimed at a particular tone or setting or something
Right.
different from like Mystara, but with this other system. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, and Lamentations does that. Hyperborea does that.
Yes.
You know, I'm trying to think what. Oh well, DCC does that. I mean, they're
Yes.
very much way off BX, but I
Right.
mean,
Right. Right.
it's definitely a different tone. So like, yeah, I think you really, and that's I think the direction the OSR really needs to focus on. Like, I get in trouble for saying this all the time, but I've been saying it for a couple of years now. We don't need any more retro clones. What we need is these very creative people to just sort of focus on tone. Like,
Tone. Yeah.
I don't know if you ever read Yoon Suin, but that came out some years ago, and then they just
Yeah.
recently did a
I
second
recently
edition.
just saw somebody put that. They put a meme up, right, when you
Ye-
sue and
Yeah,
it was like,
yeah.
yeah, I just saw that recently. I was like, I wasn't familiar with what it is, but I'll
I
let you
was
finish your point.
Yeah, I was able to score a copy of the original edition for like 20-25 bucks on eBay. I don't think the owner knew what they had. So I was just
Yeah.
like, I'll buy it. I'm not going to even dicker. I'll take it. And it's just a beautiful book that's like pretty much designed for OSE or BX,
Hmm.
but it's all Southeast Asian.
Yeah.
inspired setting, and it gives you rules to play like slugmen and crabmen
Yeah.
and all these interesting like tables to develop temples and tea houses and opium dens and
Mm.
strange marketplaces. And then it's got this whole hex map that you can develop, and it's all like yeah, India, Southeast Asian, like Thailand, Taiwanese, all
Right.
that sort of influences. And it's like it really does feel like you're reading something mystical and different, kind of like when I first picked up the Forgotten Realms box set, and I was like, "Whoa, this
Yeah.
is this is really cool." And I would love to see the OSR like focus on that. Like, give me something that's gonna wow me because it's not something that the basic expert Maquahedal. I don't. Did you ever read that? Like,
No.
he took OD&D, original D&D,
Hmm.
and made it so you can play Aztecs. And
Right.
he didn't shy away from the dark stuff of the
Right.
Aztec
Right. Right.
Empire. Like, the only way, because they didn't have currency, you don't get XP from treasure because they didn't
Mm.
have currency. You got XP from capturing slaves.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's different and that's
Yeah.
interesting. So why
Hmm.
don't we do that? Let's
Mm.
focus on that. We don't need another retro clone. What we need is like expanding our horizons, like Dark
Yeah.
Sun did in the '90s, like
Right.
Planescape did in the
Yeah.
'90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's game systems out there where even if you look at the system itself, like, well, this system isn't great, but its tone or its lore or whatever, like I mentioned, Star Frontiers. The lore of Star Frontiers is phenomenal. All right, if it just had a better system to go along with it,
Sure.
the thing would have crushed it. But I can't stop wanting to play that game just because of the lore. And there's other ones like Bushido. All right, Fantasy Grounds Unlimited, Bushido. Um, Incredible, very very crunchy system. It's like I don't know anybody that ever ran that thing, and we certainly didn't run that thing straight because it was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a little bit too complicated. You got to kind of make it a BX version of this, not changing the actual mechanics to make it BX, but I'm just saying a much more simplified version of it. But nothing carries that, the Japanese tradition, that is just built into that. Like it's like from the magic to the, to the creatures, to the mythological creatures and everything like that. You encounter an oni in there, and you're like, here, get ready to soil your pants. Yeah, it is like, and that
Yeah.
shit was
Yeah.
no joke.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of systems that just, again, like we've been saying, tone, atmosphere, vibe. That's where they really stand out, and that's something that I think, like Shadow Dark, to a great extent, was a vibe. It put out a certain vibe to it, and I immediately said with that system, I was like, this is a convention game system that hits it out of the freaking park
Hmm.
every time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
now I know sometimes, oh, you can do a long campaign with this. That's not its strength. Its strength is a pickup game,
Yeah.
and
I agree.
you're going to have them in that. And like I said, with the few modifications that I did to it, with you're gaining those because I give out coins, right? And so that coin, there's a currency that if you roll an 18, 19, or 20, you're going to get a coin. All right. And if you roll a 20, you get a coin, and the center pool gets a coin. And so people can pull from that thing, and it just made it so dynamic. And in a convention setting, I mean, it just, you know,
Yeah.
I've run that system at least 12 times now in convention settings, and every single time, the players were just blown away. This was so much fun, and it was like, it's just certain game systems work really well in that kind of a setting.
Yeah.
First time I played Hyperborea, I was like, holy shit, this thing is really really brutal, and it's just it's a game system that you really can't separate from its setting, and that's I don't mind that, but I see that that's a criticism of it. It's like, you can't take Hyperborea third edition, or maybe Astonishing Swordsman and Sorcerers, its earlier editions, and put it into any other setting but its setting.
Yeah.
It won't work well in other settings. You need that
Yeah.
thing, which is, again, I don't mind it because I don't mind playing in that setting. I don't, I wouldn't run it in a different setting. I'm running it in, the Hyperborea setting. But yeah, a lot of those systems that are out there, that's where they stand out, is
Yeah.
in their tone. And
Yes, I agree 100%. I
yeah.
think the strength of Shadow Dark in particular, I've said this to my co-host Gary and to others. I'm like, Shadow Dark feels like the modern BX. Like I
Mm,
can do whatever I want with it.
right.
Um, and you're right, it's great for a pickup game, especially if you have people who are kind of new to RPGs. It's very
Mm,
straightforward. I've been running on and off, haven't for a while actually. My son plays too many video games, but
mm,
like I was doing a Dungeons and Dads thing where like my
mhm.
buddies and their kids and my son, we and
Right.
I was running Keep on the Borderlands,
Right.
and I was just like, what do you guys want to do today? And let's just go and do it.
Mhm.
Um, it's a great system for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And if we were to decide to play tomorrow, like we could just
Right.
pick up and go. And that's why I think one of the strengths, and I know someone like Tenkar would disagree with me, but I do think Shadow Dark is kind of OSR because of that.
Oh, it's
It,
definitely OSR. It's definitely OSR. It's people get confused with what the R stands for, and I keep on saying that. It was like, you have to remember that Renaissance and Revival have a very strict definition for
yeah,
what they are. You can't confuse them. You can't combine them. You cannot be both a Renaissance and a Revival. That makes no sense. It's an
yeah,
oxymoron. All right. An OSR, old school Renaissance game, is a game that is like the real Renaissance was, right? We're borrowing from the past and
yeah,
we're putting somewhat of a new twist on it. A revival means we are living in the past. We are running the past. All
yes,
right. You cannot, and the other part, the role playing or rules, or just like kind of like the feel of old school, that's the other R. And that can be interchanged with the other two. It can be mixed with the other two, but you can't have revival and Renaissance at the same time. It makes no sense. It's not what those words mean. And so when people will say, well, this is not really an OSR, you gotta qualify with which one are you talking about, because it
right.
certainly is a Renaissance game.
I would agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that distinction too. I've never thought of it like that. Um, You're right. If we're gonna say old school Renaissance, it's about drawing from the past without imitating it, right? We're
right.
learning from the past and
Hmm.
moving forward with it. Where revival is sort of like we're just gonna play Osric,
Yeah,
like we're just
yeah.
gonna play these retro clones. Yeah, no,
Well, I
I,
no,
I
I actually, revival is, I'm running one, a D&D first edition.
yeah, there you
I'm
go.
running, I'm running Beckme. You know, I'm not running Basic Fantasy. That's a retro clone.
Yeah,
That's not a revival. That's a renaissance, right? But especially when you get to some of those BX versions, those the old school Renaissance games that will introduce ascending armor class. All right, that's a perfect example of what Renaissance means. I'm taking the old six attributes, I'm taking the same monsters, the same, but I'm going to do ascending armor class as a rule, not an optional rule, as the rule, and I'm putting that in there.
yeah,
I'm dealing with target numbers. I'm gonna have some kind of an advantage, disadvantage kind of system incorporated. That's what makes it a Renaissance game. All right. But yeah, when I am very, very strict interpretation of what revival is, it's like I am running I'm taking out the hardcovers. I'm putting them on the table. It's like, no, I'm running AD&D first edition. Not even Osric. That I know that's again. I mean, even if Osric is just a cleaning up of the formatting of it and the layout of it. I have a feeling that it does more than just that. I have
Yeah,
a feeling that it does tweak some of the rules,
probably.
to make them a little bit either more understandable or work better. Like I'm sure nobody, Osric doesn't just reprint in a different format the the encumbrance tables or the grappling system, for Christ's sakes. I mean, it's not using the grappling system that Gary Gygax devised, because even he said, "Oh no, don't use that one. Use the one that I used in Oriental Adventures." He said the same thing about the monk. He says, "Stop playing the monk from the Player's Handbook. Use the monk from Oriental Adventures." All right, just a much better version of it.
Yeah.
So it's again, it's just a tone. It's like, you know, it's like in the business model, like when they say, location, 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 those are the three most important rules.
Yes.
Tone is the three most important rules to
Yeah.
OSR games. That's where they have to differentiate themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. And every couple of months, every year, the question arises, is the OSR dead? And I just don't think it'll ever die in light
Yeah.
of like what it is and whatnot. But um I I'm being beckoned. My
Yes.
wife and I have to start wrapping presents because we're going to be putting our son to bed. So uh Dan Bloodworth, thank you so much for having me
Thank you
on.
so much for coming on,
Yeah,
and
I wanted to say Merry Christmas to you and yours, to
you
everybody
too.
in the chat. Thank you so
All
much. It's
right.
been fun.
You have a great one. Thanks for stopping in.
Take care.
All right. Take care. So, yes, exactly. RPG Grandma. Yeah, it is. It is. Renaissance is open to adding new to older game styles and feels. Yep. Yeah, that's where you're combining. That's where you're combining the two R's. You're combining um, Renaissance and role play or rules or what your the feel. Um, like I said, the only two that you cannot combine. You cannot have a Renaissance and a revival at the same time. Uh, they are total polar opposites of one another. And I won't even state that as an opinion. That's the words have their very distinct definitions. So again, if anybody wants to join in the chat, and that was great to have Lord Mateus come on in, and I will certainly have him back on again, especially when I start digging deeper into Lamentations. Um, Folks being open to adding new to older game systems or fields. Yes. Um, it's classic kit bashing your games. It's, I'm not sure what you mean by that. But anyway, let's see what else. Actually, it's funny. I was talking about that, and here's my homebrew rules for Shadow Dark right there on the top. I'm getting ready to start to put together my convention packet for April. So I'm already starting to plan for my first convention in 2026, which will be Rising Phoenix, and I am running 3 sessions of Shadow Dark. One of the sessions is not my own. One of the sessions is part of the convention's organized play for Shadow Dark that they're sponsoring. So I'll be running that game for new players to the hobby. Um, Not just new players to whether it be Shadow Dark or whatever, but just completely new players to the hobby. And then the other two sessions are adventures that I have written and run multiple times myself. And then my fourth game session that I'm running is I'm running Fallout, an adventure that I wrote for Fallout RPG. Big Fallout fan, and you know, so far a pretty good fan of the. I love season one of Fallout. It's kind of early to tell how well season two is. I saw the first episode. I'm not even sure if the second episode aired. If they're airing weekly or not, I'm not quite sure. Hopefully they are. There should be one ready to go. But anyway, I am. So I'm really looking forward to digging deeper into Lamentations, Lamentations of a Flame Princess, and thank you very much, James Edward Raggy, for sending me all of this stuff here, and I'm waiting for my other two boxes of materials. Looking forward to that. Here's a weird question, so let's check out the weird question. Okay, so you're starting to play a new game and realize it isn't meeting the vibe, or you play an old game, love the vibe, but not the mechanics so much. So you start mad sciencing the game, adding this or that. Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna, rules are not written for your table necessarily, if that makes any sense. Your table is going to modify those rules to fit your table every time. That's why, like, when people come in, and then people like the Broasar will say, "Oh no, this is there's only one way to run a game." Yeah, there's only one way to run a game. The way it works at your table is the only one way to run a game. Is how will it work at your table? You're going to modify the crap out of it, and that's to be expected. That is by design. That is written in the Dungeon Master's Guide, in the Player's Handbook. Going all the way back to certainly 1970, 77, 78, 79, when AD&D First Edition was coming out. That's when it was codified in the Dungeon Master's Guide for certain. It's like, you're going to change these things at your table. So let's get to this weird question. If I run Lamentations with a few Shadow Dark mods, am I wasting my time? Should I just run Shadow Dark instead? No. If you took some of the concepts of Shadow Dark, let's say you take the torch mechanic, which some people, oh, that's a gimmick and everything like that. It sets the tone. It sets the vibe of the game. I've watched players, just react differently to knowing that there's a timer running at the table. It's not a gimmick when it impacts the way that they play and what they, there's a sense of urgency that it creates, that without that timer, then you'll have the occasional player that will be doing a lot of grab ass and doing that kind of thing. So, if you're running Lamentations with a few Shadow Dark mods, am I wasting my time? No, absolutely not, because you're going to pull from other systems the things that you find really work well, even with other systems. Like I said, Shadow Dark did not come with a system where if you roll a 17, 18, or an 18, 19, or a 20, you're gaining advantage tokens. All right. And then you can spend those advantage tokens, and I made a system where you can hold up to 5 tokens in your own. And then there's a community pool where there can be a maximum of 5 for every number of players that are at the table. So the pool can hold a maximum of, let's say you have 5 players at the table, the pool can have a maximum of 25 coins. And those players are going through and they're spending these coins to either roll with advantage or to re-roll. If they're spending like 3 coins, they get to re-roll, or 2 coins is to re-roll. 3 coins is to re-roll with advantage. So the players become, again, much more bold in their actions when they know that, hey, I can potentially roll with advantage. In this case, if I roll an 18, 19, or 20, now I have a way to build on that momentum that is created. That's why I call it's a momentum system. It comes from not AD&D, I'm sorry. It comes from Conan 2D20 that I implemented that. The one thing I didn't implement from Conan 2D20 was the Doom system, because I'm the game master. I will decide if the players need to have a condition that's going to pressure them into action. I don't need permission from having a coin in my pool to use to make their situation more challenging when it needs to be. Yeah, you can take things out of a game system too. Like the 5 or 6 times that I have played 5e, the 3 times that were most enjoyable for me were the times when the game masters or dungeon masters, if you want to refer to that, when they removed short rests and death saves. Those 2 things removed was like, oh, okay, this is actually, for me, it was much more playable. The other 2 to 3 times where they still had that in there, it was a cakewalk. There was no real risk involved in anything. You always resorted to combat because it was never a concern. So yeah, sometimes you have to take things out. And ta-da, house rules become a new game with an old school vibe. Yes, absolutely. One, two. I like Fallout 3. I mean, you didn't mention Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was awesome. I mean, you wouldn't have New Vegas without Fallout 3. They're redoing Fallout 3. From what I understand, they're going to remaster it. I'll definitely buy that. I bought Oblivion, and they did not remaster that Oblivion well at all. But yeah, Fallout 3, if they remaster that, I'll definitely jump on that. That's my favorite version of Fallout. Just to be cool about it. So is everyone else, don't say it is 100%, or especially when I can pull multiple rule books out with conflicting rules for the same edition. Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, if you look at the DMG for first edition, AD&D, in the first paragraph, Gary says you're in charge of the rules at your table. Now he in the last paragraph of the book, he kind of contradicts that to a certain extent, but not fully. And so when the Broasar particularly focuses on the epilogue instead of the preface, that's where you run into that. Oh no, you have to run it raw. If you're not running it raw, you're running it wrong, and that's not what Gary was saying Now, Gary Gygax said that there were certain essential systems that if you remove them, you're no longer playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I agree with him, but he did not specifically say what those systems were. He kind of alluded to the fact of what a couple of them were, but he did not go into detail as to what specific ones they were, because he wanted the dungeon master to make those decisions for his or her table. It was very rare for Gary to come out and say, "Don't use this," like he did with the monk and he did with the grappling system from first edition. But for the most part, the only times that he said if you remove this system, like very specifically, was the race class level limitations. He said that those must remain. He was a big proponent of the alignment system, where it was that if you're playing evil characters, you're really not supposed to have an easy time playing Dungeons and Dragons. He really believed that you should be playing Dungeons and Dragons as a heroic fantasy, where the player characters are the heroes of the story, and they are trying to, fight for, for lack of better way of saying, truth and justice, in the, in the fantasy world setting. But he did concede that, yes, you could play an evil campaign, but everything, including your other evil, creatures in the world, are going to be working against you. So it's not going to be a long-lived campaign. OD&D through 1E, looking at my pile of rule books. And I love old D&D, but yep, it can be a hot mess. Yes, it certainly is a hot mess as far as contradictions and just some rules. I mean, just some rules where, it's not quite rules, role master level, complexity and just poor design, I would say. But it certainly is a hot mess. That's for certain. I'm a West Coast man. I'm biased. Biased on what? I forget. So let's see. Oh, I see what you're saying. For Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas. Yeah, but Fallout 3 was set in the same place. It just wasn't as I'm pretty sure Fallout 3, well, where was Fallout 3 set? Let's look. Fallout 3 was in DC? Oh, I didn't. I played it. I love that game, and I never placed it in DC. Why? It's been a long time since I played it, but I did not realize that it was DC. So anyway, I know the newer Fallout 4 is set in Massachusetts, the Lexington and Concord area of Massachusetts. I don't know. Some people don't like that setting either. But again, playing the game, playing the video game, you really don't need to focus on that anyway. They just become place names, and you don't have to worry about it too much. Now, In my home game for Fallout, I placed it in New York because I'm in New York. Um, so placed it near not Oswego, Oneonta, New York. Anyway, I totally forgot that Fallout 3 was set in Washington, D.C. I got to go back to playing that game again, especially since they're working on getting ready to um, reboot it. So anyway, so I am going to wrap this one up. And I am going to, so thank you everyone for coming in. And I will see you at the earliest. I will see you on Christmas Day evening, probably later on in the evening, if anything, although I might push that off to certainly by Friday. By Friday, I will be back into the full swing of things. I'll see what other things I get in, as far as presents are concerned and stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to digging in deeper on Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and I will take Lord Mateus's suggestion there, and I'm going to be looking for the tonal differences, and and also that's something that RPG Grandma also really pointed out, that it's more about tone and vibe and all of that. So everyone, thank you so much for stopping in. As always, I look forward to seeing you, chatting with you. Remember to like and subscribe. Check out some of these other people's channels, like the RPG Grandma. Go to her channel and check that out. She's doing this, incredible series of videos on Star Frontiers. Just really, really good, learning experience if you're not familiar with that game system at all. And I would love to play in your game. I will help you get that started if you want to try to figure out how to do it online. But yeah, I would love to play that. I have a cool adventure that I think that you would like too. So I'll send you a copy of that adventure, which was completely inspired by a type of jazz music that I came across. And I was like, wow, this would really work for a Star Frontiers theme, So yeah, I will definitely reach out to you after the holidays, RPG Grandma, and see how I can send that over to you so you can check that adventure out. And Mike, as always, thanks for joining in. Shadow and Sun, I know you might still be lingering, or you might have, you were going to go batten down the hatches for a storm. Hopefully you get through that storm without losing power. I'm always in favor of reskinning games based on your own town. I did that for Call of Cthulhu. Made it 1930s Tacoma, Washington. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I'm still a big fan of like Call of Cthulhu being in that kind of an early 1900s era kind of thing, and you can put that anywhere because it's eldritch horror. You can have that globally, but I always like that time period though. Although I know a lot of people really enjoy the modern setting for Call of Cthulhu as well. Haven't had a chance of playing that yet, but maybe someday at a convention I'll have an opportunity to play in modern Call of Cthulhu. I forget what they call that, something green. But anyway, thanks everyone for joining in. You all have a great rest of your evening, and have a great upcoming holiday, whichever holiday you happen to be celebrating. And I will certainly see you by Friday, possibly as early as Thursday night. So have a good one. Take care.